minute or so. And we'll get started. Of course, there's huge news today to talk about, especially for those that have already drafted, which is probably the case for most people at this point. Most drafts were probably conducted over this past weekend. And therefore, that means that the vast majority of leagues are complete, and somebody somewhere has Travis Kelce in their starting lineup because he was their first round pick. Reportedly suffered a hyperextension in practice today. News just came down from Albert Breer, and I'll repeat this when I have this fully up and running. Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce, all ligaments are intact. This is following, of course, the knee hyperextension injury that he suffered earlier today. All ligaments are reportedly intact, which is spectacular news. However, quote, the knee hyperextension has caused swelling, unquote. We're going to go ahead and have to and assume at this point that Kelce is not going to play week 1. Can't imagine that happens. Too short of a turnaround. A hyperextension in a best case scenario is often a 2 or 3 week injury. Again, in a best case scenario. Obviously, no two situations are the same. Travis Kelce hasn't missed a game in not over a decade, but essentially a decade. I think it's been since 2014, so about 10 years. It's looking likely that streak is about to be broken. The good news, though, is it doesn't appear that his season is in any type of jeopardy. It's just going to be a short-term absence that sucks now that we'll have to endure. But he should be back, I think, sooner than later. I think that feels like the most likely scenario here. But the news is good. The news is positive on Travis Kelce. All ligaments intact, which is spectacular. That's news that we were hoping we would get, but we officially got. You never know with these types of things while we sit in the unknown. But we did get the news that we wanted as far as ligaments are intact, according to Albert Breer. So what do you do if you drafted Travis Kelce? Obviously, we have to first all go to the waiver wire, right? What are the options available to us in our league? And who are our best bets, at least to stream week 1? You're probably not going to be able to make a pickup until Travis Kelce is officially ruled out, in which case you should be able to move him to an IR spot. Your league should have IR. You should have at least one IR spot. He will be IR eligible when he's officially ruled out. You can pick up a replacement then. You're probably going to have to wait until Thursday to do that, but that's okay. It allows us time to kind of figure out what we want to do based on week 1 matchups. Because if you have Travis Kelce, this is a short-term replacement who is getting dropped as soon as Travis Kelce is healthy, which sounds like it will be on the sooner side than later, but still at this point, not expected to go Thursday night against the Lions. Hold this down a little bit. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. So who's available on your waiver wire? I mean, that's the first question, right? And then we go from there. Is Juwan Johnson available? I feel like he's like around the cutoff of best tight ends potentially remaining on a waiver wire in 10 and 12 team redraft leagues. He might be the guy that is most likely to be available. That would probably be my first choice, if available, would be Juwan Johnson if you have Travis Kelce. I feel like he might be the cutoff in 10 and 12 team redraft leagues as far as guys who could be available. If he is in a vacuum, that would be my first choice. They play at home to open the season, I believe, against Tennessee. The Saints do. Yep, at home against Tennessee. There should be enough volume there to go around. Juwan Johnson probably has some pretty good upside in that matchup. If you need a guy, if he looks like he's maybe one of the better options on the wire, he's the guy that I would probably suggest would be Juwan Johnson. If there's a Greg Dulcich, if there's a Gerald Everett, those are fine as a roll of the dice. Luke Musgrave is going to be trendy. I feel like it might be difficult to trust a rookie tight end in his very first NFL game. So I don't know that I can necessarily advise doing that. If Romeo Doubs is out for Green Bay, then of course that would give Musgrave a few more looks, or at least a couple more looks potentially. But that feels like a difficult sell. I know he was a high pick. He was 34th or 35th overall, the 34th or 35th overall selection in the draft this past year. But with a rookie tight end and a lot of new faces in Green Bay in general on that offense, I think I want to wait before I advise streaming Luke Musgrave week 1. Ty Conklin should be available, should be viable as a viable roll of the dice. Monday night, Aaron Rodgers' first game as a Jet at home against a division rival. There could be some streaming appeal there. It all depends on who's available. Best options are probably in the Juwan Johnson range. Maybe like a Greg Dulcich or a Gerald Everett are out there. These would be, around the top 3 names or so. Maybe a Jake Ferguson is available. He's probably worth a look week 1. These are, I assume, what the best waiver wire options are in your typical 10 or 12 team redraft league. In 14 teams, it might even be a little bit thinner. So check the wire. Juwan Johnson, Greg Dulcich, Gerald Everett, Jake Ferguson. I would imagine at least one of these dudes is on the wire in 10 and 12 team redraft leagues, and probably a couple more than that. That would be a worthy fill-in. Any one of those guys would be, worth the shot if those are your best options available to you if you drafted Travis Kelce. On that same note, again, the news was positive. It just came down from Albert Breer. All ligaments in Travis Kelce's knee are intact. I think we were expecting to hear that, but also nothing's confirmed until it's confirmed. So a big sigh of relief for those that did just recently draft Travis Kelce. Maybe you have a draft tonight or tomorrow night, and it's still on the table that you could draft Travis Kelce. I still think he is worth a first-round pick. This is not a situation. I'm not as worried about this as I am about, say, Cooper Kupp, who is not looking like a smart pick in the first round at this point. Kelce, I think, is still worthy of first round consideration. Maybe you're not taking him at 6 or 7, but if you've got the 9 or 10 spot and he's there, I still think he's worth it there. Until we know more, you obviously want to err on the side of caution. And if he's off your board in the first round, I understand. But the fact that all ligaments are confirmed intact tells me that this is a short-term absence, not a long-term one. And Travis Kelce, I know he's older now. He's 33, 34 years old, but he has had a relatively clean bill of health. He has not missed a game in 10 years. I think we can err on the side of optimism here as opposed to caution. This is not a reoccurring issue for Travis Kelce. It sounds like it was a fluky thing. He should be fine. I would say, let's say conservatively by week 3 or 4, maybe week 4 at the latest, you're going to be able to fire up Travis Kelce into your starting lineup once again, I would have to imagine. Looking unlikely for Thursday. Let's go ahead and assume he maybe he also misses week 2. Maybe they just give him two weeks to get him off his knee and get himself right, get himself ready for the rest of the season. The Chiefs are in a situation where they can afford to be patient with Travis Kelce. They don't need to force him onto the field with this happening at the very beginning of their season. So let's go ahead and assume he's out week 1. I would imagine he's also out week 2. Week 3 is conceivably when we see Travis Kelce for the first time, and then maybe he's back to being Travis Kelce by, say, weeks 4 or week 5. So don't panic yet if you drafted him. And if you haven't drafted yet, if he falls to the end of the first round, I would do that. If I've got the 10 or the 11 or the 12th pick, let's say, and I was assuming Travis Kelce was going to be off the board already, if he's there for me now at that point, I would be fine pulling the trigger there. I do think this is a short-term issue, not a long-term one. My concern is not the same as it is for, say, someone like Cooper Kupp. If you have Chig Okonkwo, that's the pivot. If you have Chig Okonkwo and it's either him or Dulcich or him and Juwan Johnson or him or Gerald Everett, for me, the answer is Chig. I'm rolling on the upside. I'm rolling on the advanced metrics from last year. The yards per route run were excellent last year. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins joining the fold doesn't hurt Okonkwo. If anything, it makes the defense honor multiple threats in the passing game for Tennessee in a way that they didn't have last year. So I would still roll the dice on Okonkwo. If he's the guy that I can pivot to, that is if you have Travis Kelce, but you also drafted Chig and you're thinking, do I roll the dice with Chig Okonkwo, or do I pick somebody else up? The answer is Okonkwo. If he's available on your waiver wire, he's the head and shoulders for me ahead of Juwan Johnson, Greg Dulcich, Gerald Everett. I would roll the dice on Okonkwo and the upside that he flashed last season. I assume he's not available. I would imagine in most 10 and 12 team leagues, he got drafted somewhere. So if he is available and you have Travis Kelce, go grab him. If he's not, then a Juwan Johnson, a Greg Dulcich, a Gerald Everett, a Jake Ferguson could be a fine roll of the dice. One guy I don't think I can bring myself to suggest streaming. If I'm wrong on this, then so be it. But one guy I don't think I can suggest streaming if you are, bargain hunting for tight end at this point. The guy I'm leery of is Luke Musgrave. I don't know that I can recommend streaming a rookie tight end in his very first game. So I would look for a guy who's been on the team for a couple of seasons at least. In the case of Jake Ferguson, that's only 1 year. Nevertheless, I'll take a second-year player. At tight end, I will take a second-year player over a rookie in a vacuum as far as what rolling the dice 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10. So, Ferguson over Musgrave, Everett for sure. And then the veterans, the guys who have been doing this for multiple seasons, at least you're relying on a guy who's been around the block. Gerald Everett, Juwan Johnson. Greg Dulcich is another guy who's only a second-year player, but he flashed a little bit last year. With Jerry Jeudy expected to miss time, I would prefer him over Musgrave. Dulcich should see a few extra looks, assuming we're also going to be without Jerry Jeudy for a little while. These are guys that I would prefer to rookies. Second-year players for sure, and then and then just like the old guard, the veterans, like a Gerald Everett. These are guys that I would look at. Okay, but don't panic if you have Travis Kelce. All is not lost. I think by week 3, cautiously, maybe, this might be a little optimistic, but cautiously, I think we can expect him back by around week 3. I would say week 4 at the latest, and maybe by like week 4 or week 5, you have Travis Kelce back. It could hurt for a couple of weeks here. I would think by week 3 you can fire him up, maybe temper expectations a little bit. But if Travis Kelce's out there, you're starting him no matter what. Hopefully by week 4 or 5, you have your all-world tight end back. So those are quick thoughts on Travis Kelce. I'm going to fire off this puppy 4, another underdog best ball draft. Again, just more repetition, more opportunities for you guys to see a draft unfold in real time. If you haven't drafted yet, for those that are still holding out for their redraft, whether they're happening tonight, whether they're happening tomorrow, some still even, they have them like the night of kickoff. People might have their draft the night of kickoff. They wait till the very last day, to the literal start of the regular season. So I do think there's still value in doing these exercises, and they're fun in a vacuum. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and fire one of those up. I will take questions as I'm doing this draft. I'll just be multitasking a little bit here. So feel free to drop them in. I will get to them as I can. All right. So for those of you who do play Underdog Fantasy, the Puppy 4 launched, I believe, yesterday. It's already 40% full. Obviously, with the season starting this in 2 days, we're talking about fast drafts only. There are, of course, no slow drafts. We would not be able to get a single one done in time. So fast drafts only. I'm going to fire this one off shortly. I don't know if Alex or if there are any members in here who do like to play best ball. If you can try to join with me, but these fill very, very quickly. It's completely random, so it's going to be difficult to coordinate that. But by all means, you're welcome to try. I'm going to fire this thing off now. If anybody wants to try to join me, feel free. There are certain restrictions depending on your location as to whether you can use the Underdog app or not. You would have to check how it specifically pertains to you. All right. But let's see how this goes. These are $5 entries. I don't know why it automatically goes to light mode for me, but I'm going to switch to dark mode for the sake of all of our eyes. Yeah, so Richie, hopefully I answered that question. I would probably go Ferguson if those are your best options, probably Ferguson. Cameron Thomas, what's going on? I have the 4th pick. That makes my life kind of easy here. I have the 4th pick out of 12. That makes my life kind of easy. Alex didn't make it in. That's okay. I'm probably going to end up taking Tyreek Hill. This, as recently as yesterday, Travis Kelce was in the conversation here. I do think Austin Eckler and Bijan Robinson are in the conversation here, but I'm probably just going to take Tyreek Hill in a format where it's half PPR, but I start 3 receivers. I want to get that anchor wide receiver right off the chute, right off the bat, right out of the chute. Excuse me, phrasing or words. And I'll see what's available to me at the turn, potentially like a Josh Jacobs or so. But I do think I'll just go ahead and take Tyreek Hill if he's available to me. If Tyreek Hill goes at the 103, I'll take Christian McCaffrey. I'm assuming Jamar Chase is about to go 102. That has been the chalk of the offseason, and for good reason. Sorry, Alex. Yeah, these are difficult things to time up. Especially with the season happening in 2 days, people are all over this thing. They are all over the Puppy 4. They're going to fill it up with as many entries as they possibly can. These things fire off. They fill in seconds. I'm not going to mess around here. For the record, in redraft, I don't think this is too high of a spot to consider a guy like Bijan Robinson. I think it's fair to consider that. But in this format, in best ball, when I have to start 3 receivers every week and I can't play matchups, I can't stream, I want an anchor, I want one of the best options, I'm going Tyreek Hill. Cameron, I see your question. And see, there you go. Bijan 105, especially with Kelce's injury. I don't think this is too high for Bijan Robinson. I would take him over Austin Eckler. I officially think, especially in redraft, in season-long redraft leagues, this is best ball. In season-long redraft leagues, I think there's a legitimate argument to select Bijan Robinson over Tyreek Hill. Full PPR, you should probably go Tyreek. Half PPR, there's an argument for Bijan. But I would take Tyreek Hill over Austin Eckler. Eckler is a clear 6 for me, but he's 6th. I lost the chat. Where did my chat go? me see if I can get it back. There we go. Okay, so this is a start. Cameron, you got a start sit question. I see you. We are gonna nice pick, Alex. Nice pick. Bijan 106 at this point feels like the best value of the first round. First of all, start sit help is going to be available this weekend, Saturday 6 p.m. Eastern, Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. If you can't make that, though, I will try to answer start sit questions. I will also be live on Thursday before the game, before kickoff, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll hang out for a little while. We can talk shop. I know everybody's going to be fired up for the start of the season, so I'll be live for that as well if you can make that one. But if you can't make the weekend, I would quickly say, you need an RB2 and a flex. I would have to think about this, but I would tentatively say Elijah Moore in your flex and either Javonte or Brian Robinson as your RB2. There's good arguments for both. If you want to be cautious with Javonte coming back for, first week of the season, Brian Robinson gets a cupcake matchup against Arizona week 1 at home. He should be fine that week. If you want to swing for a little bit more upside, Javonte's probably your play. If I don't get a Olave, or if this is like a Olave, there goes see, I was hoping I would get Josh Jacobs. Man, I could grab Derrick Henry here. I like Jahmyr Gibbs, but this just feels a little too high for him. I also want Calvin Ridley, though. I'm going to roll the dice and keep stacking strong wide receivers. I don't have too many shares of Calvin Ridley. I want Calvin Ridley. I think this is a great spot for Calvin Ridley officially. I'm going to roll the dice here. And yeah, Kelce's going to fall to the second round now. I would be willing to take him at the 1-2 turn. I'm still willing to take him there. I know that it's dicey. You're going to miss him for the first couple of weeks, but even a couple of weeks without Travis Kelce is still probably the tight end 2 on the season and the tight end 1 in points per game each week. It's still a colossal difference maker, even though you're not going to have him for a couple of weeks. Dare I take Jahmyr Gibbs with the 304? Am I nuts, guys? I could also take the what is probably now potentially the new odds-on favorite to finish as the tight end 1 on the season, Mark Andrews, from a straight-up points perspective. Probably not points per game perspective. This guy's not going to let me have Derrick Henry at the 304, is he? This guy's not going to let me. He's not going to let me have Derrick Henry at the 304, is he? Wow. Okay. Change of plans. I like Jahmyr Gibbs a lot. I like Mark Andrews a lot, but I'm drafting Derrick Henry over both. I start off wide receiver, and Derrick Henry falls to me in the third round. We are cooking with gas, boys and girls. I haven't seen Derrick Henry third round pick in over a month. I will take that. I will take that, and I will feel just fine about that. I really like that start. I get that Jahmyr Gibbs, his stock is through the roof. Jahmyr Gibbs is super exciting, but I can't take him over Derrick Henry. I can't do that. Even in half PPR, I got to go with the old guard until I see for years, I thought the wheels would fall off for Derrick Henry, and he kept telling me to go F myself. I'm gonna dip in until I actually see it happen myself instead of trying to predict it. His ADP is 20. I'm getting him at 28, especially when you consider the turmoil with Jonathan Taylor. Ramondre Stevenson with Zeke getting added to the backfield, Breece Hall with Dalvin Cook getting added to that backfield. I'll take a guy that is still. I'll take King Henry. I'll take King Henry. Uh, Alex, would you have gone Gibbs over Derrick Henry? Waddle at 19 is real nice. Waddle at 19 is really nice. Like, see, now this feels like a really good spot for Gibbs, and there he goes. Nice pick for a guy that ended, or for a person who started off their draft wide receiver. They went AJ Brown, took Cooper Kupp in the second round. See, I get it. I understand. I don't think I can do it. I was in on Cooper Kupp. I was really in on Cooper Kupp pre hamstring injury. I feel like I'm just pretty out on Cooper Kupp at this point. Feels dicey. Feels like feels like a ticking time bomb officially. The Rams might not be good if Cooper Kupp is dealing with another injury plagued riddled season and they are not winning games. That's going to spell red flags for the entirety of Cooper Kupp's second half of 2023. I don't think I could take him before the fourth round. Maybe the fourth round. I could maybe, it's like, all right, fine. At this point, it's worth it. But like, soft tissue hamstring injury is bad enough. A setback this close to the season is terrifying. Alex, that team's coming together nicely. I like it. That team's coming together nicely. Bijan 106 is great. Waddle at 19, perfectly fine. Hurts in the third round of a best ball format where the emphasis is on quarterbacks sooner than waiting on them traditionally. Nice start. I am going to end up here with, I could go Najee. I could go Breece Hall. This person does not have a wide receiver yet, so I would be feeling the pressure to get one personally. And then this person could go in any direction, has one of each. There goes Burrow. There goes Breece. I'll take Najee at 45. I know he's kind of boring at this point, but he's healthy. The Steelers should be better. I know Jaylen Warren is a guy like that a lot of people like, but I think Najee, I think there's your talking point. I just think he's going to get more work for at least this season. If they decide to reevaluate their backfield, wouldn't that come after the season? I don't know. I know that Jaylen Warren is a guy that a lot of people are into, but Najee is still a former first-round pick, a guy that they gave 300 touches to his rookie year, came into camp last year with some injury issues. The Steelers were not very good on offense in the first half of their season with Kenny Pickett taking his lumps. I might go Justin Herbert here, even though I don't have a stack, and just get that good quarterback. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. I love Aaron Jones, but I already have two running backs here. I want to address running back depth later where I know there will be more good depth. I think last year was a statistical anomaly. He gets all of his pieces back this year. I'm in on Justin Herbert. And Mega Brick, I see you want to let's see, you had your draft. That looks like a pretty good start. I don't know what other running backs were on the board for you when Pacheco was there, or which receivers were available when Godwin was there. But McCaffrey, Waddle, Higgins, Fields. I mean, those are four dudes that you just straight up expect to carry you. So, that's pretty good. I would have considered Tyreek Hill third overall, but I probably wouldn't have been able to pull the trigger over Christian McCaffrey. So I'm fine with that in full PPR. And then, Waddle Higgins at the 2-3 turn in full PPR, or around the 2-3 turn in full PPR. I would say that's pretty strong. And Justin Fields has QB1 overall upside. Yeah, I mean, diversify your assets, Alex. If you have a lot of Hopkins, sometimes you just want to swerve for the sake of, if you want multiple slices at the pie, multiple chances at it, you got to bring multiple assets to the table. You got to bring different builds to the table. Maximize your chances of having numerous good teams. And I think Watson is primed for a big season. 7 picks away. Dude, ADPs are so goofy now this close to the season, because now we've got real-time developments that we know that we are expecting, as opposed to like what we knew in July and August. Jonathan Taylor in an absolute free fall right now. The likes of J.K. Dobbins, James Cook, Miles Sanders potentially going over him. There goes Dobbins. Taylor goes all the way down to 65. I guess that's fine. That's a fine spot to roll the dice on Taylor. He's out for the first 4 weeks, but what we can't write in stone that the rest of his season is just over with. He could still be traded. Or in a worst case scenario, I don't know how likely this is to happen, but if he wants his rookie contract, if he wants this season of his rookie contract to count so he can get to free agency, he has to report, he has to play by week 11 this year. It would be very uncomfortable, but he could still return to the Colts in week 11, which is obviously not what we want at this point, but I suppose it's possible. I might take a chance on Jackson Smith-Njigba here, because the diagnosis has been really good. He avoided the PUP list to start the season despite the injury. He's practicing, and his ADP is still down here at like 68, 69, 70 when it had been 10 spots higher. I mean, the diagnosis has been pretty good. I need a wide receiver 3. I'm going to take him here. And I know this is a free fall for Jerry Jeudy, but again, soft tissue, like a broken wrist, that sucks, but that thing's going to heal in a month. A soft tissue injury, we don't know. Those are dicier. They are riskier. And the chance of re-aggravation is higher. Like, I'll take Jerry Jeudy I'll roll the dice on Jerry Jeudy at 76 if he gets to me, but if he doesn't, then so be it. Lots of people after me have tight ends, but obviously not all of them. Yeah, like soft tissue injuries are tricky, and Jerry Jeudy is a repeat offender, man. He's a repeat offender. As far as soft tissue injuries, he didn't have a setback like Cooper Kupp, and he is a lot younger. Fine. It doesn't feel great, but I'll take a chance. I'll roll the dice. I'm not crazy about that pick, but I'll roll the dice. Sanders goes. There goes Akers. I like Akers at this spot. I took running backs high. I took a couple of running backs high. And again, this is best ball. So I'm a little less concerned about getting I'm not as concerned about getting running back depth early. Like there's more. I could get any one of these guys and feel just fine with that as my RB3. So Alex, you got Smith and Jigba at 67. I got him at 69. Pretty nice. That being said, I do think Lockett is fine. I think his ADP is now, I'm not too worried about Tyler Lockett. He's always criminally underrated. His ADP is fine, but now that Smith and Jigba has fallen over 10 spots than him in ADP, now it's kind of, and he avoided the pup list. It's like, all right, I'm back in on Smith and Jigba. He avoided the pup list, and he's now the cheapest Seahawks receiver. Like now I'm in, but you got both, so nicely done. As far as where Sanders went, I mean, it sounds like he's going to be ready for week 1, which is great, but he dealt with injuries during the offseason. I have not been bullish on Miles Sanders, and it's a downgrade in situations going from what he had last year to what he has this year. Call me a hater. Call me a doubter. If you believe in Miles Sanders, that's fine. Get your guy. He's not a dude I'm targeting this year. I'll take Quentin Johnson if he's gonna if I can get him because I have Herbert. No, very rude. Well, I'm not exactly crazy about it, but I could take Tua here because I have Tyreek Hill, and I could just build the stack. I think I'm going to do it. Not crazy about it, but I'll take him because I have Tyreek. And I can still get either a receiver or a running back that I like at this point. And I'll be punting on tight end. That's just that's the position that I'm not going to be very deep at in this particular draft. And that's okay. I can still get any one of Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, Treylon Burks. I would even take Kadarius Toney at this point. His ADP is depreciated compared to earlier in the offseason, and it sounds like he's closer to returning than I think his ADP is giving him credit for. Be fine with that. I'd be fine with any one of these running backs, Gibson, Dillon, Charbonnet. Elijah Moore would probably be my first choice if I can get him. If not, probably Treylon Burks. Just looking at I'm looking at wide receivers, especially like a guy like Burks, whose ADP was 20 spots higher than this earlier in the offseason. He got hurt, and the Titans added DeAndre Hopkins, so his ADP plummeted, but now he's back. He's going to be ready for week 1, and I think the concern about Hopkins' arrival was a little overblown as far as it pertains to Treylon Burks' ADP. There he goes. Damn it. Okay, well, I can still get a guy that I like here in Elijah Moore, a guy who I think has fallen a little bit. I can get him as my wide receiver 5. I think he's going to catch a lot of passes this year from Deshaun Watson. I do think he's going to be a good guy to have in PPR leagues. That somewhat applies to half PPR as well. Where did James Cook go in this draft? Was it late? 70. I mean, that's about where his ADP has climbed to. I don't think that's late for James Cook. 77 probably looks a little late for Miles Sanders, but from where I'm sitting, I'm just I'm on the record at this point. I'm just not crazy about Miles Sanders. And so for him to fall to 77 or so, maybe that's disrespectful. He was, I think he was a 5th or 6th round pick last year and he had a great season, but had a career year and entire situation is a downgrade. He's a fade for me. Not James Cook though. James Cook should be very good. I don't know if you guys saw the report. Apparently, Juju Smith-Schuster's knee is not in good shape. Could be nothing. Could be a smokescreen. Could be absolutely nothing. There could be something more there. I don't know that I'm necessarily going out of my way to tell you guys to like move Devontae Parker up your boards, but with Juju Smith-Schuster with the knee potentially still ailing him, I think didn't they put Tyquan Thornton on IR? So he's going to miss am I correct in saying that? Did they put him on IR? Yeah, he was. So he's going to miss the first 4 games of the season. I mean, don't go nuts, but Devontae Parker, can be on your radar at the end of drafts. I'm up in 3 picks. What the hell am I doing here? Nico Collins, Jamal Williams. Just looking at the guys who are right after me. I'm sure you guys all do this, but like if I'm close to the turn, checking the 2 or 3 people who are right after me to see what they potentially need. I like Nico Collins here. I think I'm going to take Nico Collins. I love him as a wide receiver, like a 5 if I can get it. 6 is even, is that's how I know that I have a loaded group of receivers. I don't know that Nico's a star necessarily, but he feels like the favorite in a pecking order that is completely wide open. Sam Laporta over Dalton Kincaid is that's a hell of a move. I don't have too many Dalton Kincaid shares. If he falls, in these next 3 picks, I might take the chance. But if he's gone, if somebody takes him here, then I have a guy swing that I want to swing for the fences with, who in fact I may take regardless. I may take over Dalton Kincaid regardless. No, I missed by 1 pick. Damn it. I wanted Devon Achane. I do think he is, I think he's a ceiling play, a ceiling draft pick. Good pick by that guy. I am going to roll the dice on another rookie, though. I don't have a tight end. Kincaid has fallen a bit here. Young rookie, saw a lot, really a lot of question marks. But a 1st-round pick to a Josh Allen-led offense, I'll dabble here and there. I'll sprinkle some Dalton Kincaid shares in there. Remember, Kyle Pitts had a 1,000-yard season as a rookie, and I think he was still just the tight end 10 on the season because he only caught 1 touchdown. Now, that's a variance statistic that doesn't necessarily apply to Dalton Kincaid in any way. Just pointing out that it is tough. As hype as we get for young tight ends, it is really difficult to rely on them throughout the season. So I'm gonna need a veteran tight end, maybe two, to offset the shot in the dark that I'm taking on Dalton Kincaid. But sometimes it's fun to roll the dice on guys that you don't have too many shares of. Tyler Higbee, probably already drafted. If you've drafted already, if you have Travis Kelce and you lost Travis Kelce, Tyler Higbee probably on rosters. But if he's not, I mean, is Tyler Higbee gonna get 15 targets week one? Like maybe say 12 targets week one. Cooper Kupp's not gonna be there. It's Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, Puka, Tyler Higbee. That's who Matthew Stafford is throwing the football to week one. First of all, yeesh. But second of all, Tyler Higbee, 12 to 15 targets. I mean, there's your short-term answer. I doubt he's available even in 10 and 12 redraft leagues, but there's your answer if you have Travis Kelce. Tyler Higbee would be like the best case scenario for anybody in that situation. That is a name if he happens to be on your waiver wire and you have Travis Kelce, he probably isn't. But if Tyler Higbee is on your wire, that is a situation where I would not wait until Travis Kelce's IR eligible. I would just go drop the last guy on my roster to grab Tyler Higbee. I only have 2 running backs through my first 11 picks. We're going to change that. We have some nice options right here. We're going to hope Jerick McKinnon slides, but if he doesn't, any one of these dudes could be a viable swing for the fences guy in best ball who I'm not necessarily relying on right away. I would be quite happy with McKinnon. I would settle for a Damian Harris or a Tyler Algier, and then maybe Zeke on the wraparound. Where's Gerald Everett? I should be able to wait for it. I'm only looking at him specifically because I have Justin Herbert. All right. I will take Jerick McKinnon. What's his ADP? 127. I'm picking at 141. I need a running back. I'll take him almost 15 spots below ADP. Absolutely. Jerick McKinnon, I believe, feel free to, fact check me on this, but wasn't he was like in a top RB1 for the final 7 or 8 games of the season last year. Will he replicate that? I don't know, but I'll take a shot on a guy in a wide open backfield. That should be good, right? It's the Chiefs. It's a Patrick Mahomes-led offense. We, of course, expect it to be good. I'll take a random running back in that offense 15 spots below his ADP. Still pretty light at running back, so I'm probably going to try to go back to it here. An Algier and Ezekiel Elliott, a Roschon Johnson, any one of those would be fine. I don't want Tajay Spears only because I have Derrick Henry. In season-long redraft, absolutely. Grab the handcuff. If you have Derrick Henry, grab Tajay Spears. In best ball, I'm not doing that. You want to maximize your team's potential ceiling. I'm playing with, I'm swinging for the fences. I'm playing for the ceiling because it's best ball. I need to operate as if I'm going to have Derrick Henry all season long. I don't want to play it safe in the event that Derrick Henry goes down and then I have Tajay Spears. If Derrick Henry goes down, Tajay Spears is probably not saving my season. And in that scenario, you're guaranteed an incredibly low number from one player each and every week. You don't want to guarantee yourself that in best ball. So I will go Tyler Algier because I don't have Bijan Robinson. So you create some random depth behind the guys who are your obvious starters. So that was my 13th pick. I've got 5 picks left to go. Happy to talk shop on any other one specific item. With only about 2 days to go before kickoff, before the NFL kickoff. So feel free to drop any questions in the chat. If there are any members here, I will get their questions first, but I will try to answer everybody eventually. And I will take this time now while it is a little quiet in the chat and while I'm still 13 picks away from my pick. If you like what you see from the channel as far as videos or engagement, or you just like how I do things, there are member options available in the first link in the description of the video if you're interested in supporting the channel further. The second level of memberships would include, if we can make it happen in time, would include being able to set up a members redraft league so you could play fantasy with me. The cost to enter would, of course, be the membership if you're interested. Something to consider for the season. Also, we got a Discord. Second link in the description of this video, all of my videos. Everybody's got access to the Discord. The members will get a little bit more from me in the Discord. If you want analysis, if you want a breakdown, if you really want to like dissect a situation, whether it's a trade or an ad drop, I'm happy to do that. And it's completely free. And of course, it's a good way to crowdsource. I'll jump in there when I can. Members will get a little bit more of a breakdown from me, or a little bit more from me in any one specific situation that they may have that they bring to the Discord. But if you're not interested, you can still, if you're not interested in becoming a member, it is still free. The Facemask community is over there. Happy to talk shop with the season officially returning. All right, I'm 2 picks away. Did I lose Gerald Everett? Did somebody? He did. He took Gerald Everett, so I'm not going to be able to stack up Justin Herbert. But if I can get Chig Okonkwo down here, I'm absolutely taking him. Yes. I'm doing that. I am doing that. How far has he fallen? I mean, Juwan Johnson has fallen too, but I personally have Okonkwo higher in my rankings than Juwan Johnson, and to get him 10 picks below his ADP, I will take the guy who was second in yards per route run last year at the tight end position to none other than Travis Kelce. Very happy to get Chig Okonkwo there. All right, let's see. 5 picks away. I have 4 running backs and 6 receivers. Roschon Johnson is still on the board, although I can't imagine he stays there over the next 4 picks. Kendre Miller, Devin Singletary doesn't do a ton for me. There goes Devontae Parker. That might be a good pick with the news about Juju's knee injury still being a problem and Tyquan Thornton being on IR. Officially put Devontae Parker on your radar for like the 14th round if you haven't drafted yet. And honestly, if you have drafted and Devontae Parker is just sitting out there, there are worse rolls of the dice to take. This guy, I keep losing out on my guys. There goes the running back that I actually wanted. Let's see. I have 4. Oh, screw it. Romeo Doubs is dealing with an injury. Let's take a chance on a rookie wide receiver who I don't need to rely on because I've got other horses at the top in Tyreek and Calvin Ridley. I like this crew of wide receivers. The tight ends are an unknown, but their values relative to the ADP, so I'll take it. Running back is thin, but getting Derrick Henry 7.5 spots below his ADP, I got an anchor without asking for an anchor. Paired him with Najee Harris. Boring, but should be good enough to give you consistent, rock-solid numbers this year. Some random depth at running back. We'll see. And then a couple good options at quarterback, including a guy who I think is going to be much better this year than he was last year, and that's Justin Herbert. He gets Keenan Allen back. He gets Mike Williams back. He gets his left tackle, Rashawn Slater, back. This offense will be whole and healthy coming into 2023, and they add Quentin Johnston to an offense that we expect to push the ball down the field with new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Give me Justin Herbert. Ten picks away before I make my 16th and 17th picks. Those will be my third and second to last picks. This is an 18-round draft. I'll pull up the draft board after it's over. Give you guys an opportunity to kind of digest the whole thing in its entirety. Tell me what you think, which teams you like the best and why. Here's a little bit more running back depth that I'm certainly interested to get an RB5. Gus Edwards, Ty Chandler, happy with either one of those guys. Both are their team's RB2 in situations where, yes, J.K. Dobbins and Alexander Mattison, respectively, are the team's number one option, clearly. But I wouldn't call them, I don't know that they're going to be bona fide Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Austin Eckler, bell cows. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, bell cows. They'll be the main guys, but these guys should mix in a decent amount. Another guy, if you punt on tight end, Mike Gesicki's dealing with an injury again. The Patriots are coming into this to the season already. There's some question marks about their health on offense. Juju Smith-Schuster's knee is apparently a ticking time bomb. Tyquan Thornton is on IR. He's going to miss the first 4 games. Mike Gesicki is dealing with an injury. I mean, if you punt tight end, I like Ty Conklin too for what it's worth, but Hunter Henry could be a touchdown dependent guy who is worth the roll of the dice every other week. Gus Edwards goes, but Ty Chandler is still there, who I think I'm willing to roll the dice on more over guys like Chuba Hubbard and Deuce Vaughn. There goes Deuce Vaughn. I don't know if it's going to be Deuce Vaughn or if it's going to be Rico Dowdle or if it's going to matter because Tony Pollard is that guy. Yeah, I think I'm going to take Ty Chandler here. Chuba, I'm just not. I mean, Chuba's interesting because I'm worried about Miles Sanders. There could be some regression. He's dealing with the groin injury. He's supposed to be ready week 1, so I'm kind of interested in Chuba Hubbard. Just not sure if he's that good. And Ty Chandler has yet to establish that for himself. And I know Myles Gaskin joined that team, but he doesn't scare me either. And Chandler's been there. I got to imagine he's the team's number 2. I'll roll the dice on that. If I can, maybe I should have done it because I have Derrick Henry and Chika Okonkwo, but I'm perfectly happy waiting until pick 196 to get my third quarterback, get Ryan Tannehill. I do think Ryan Tannehill is being left for dead right now. I don't know that Malik Willis or Will Levis are ready to step in. And I don't know that Tennessee has any interest in getting those guys playing time no matter what happens. They signed DeAndre Hopkins. They still have Derrick Henry. This is a team they're going to try to go for it. For better or worse, whether you agree with it or not, they're making moves that seem to indicate that they're going to try to go for it. So at this point, if I need a tight end 3 and I do, a quarterback 3 and I do, I don't even know at this point if Kyler Murray is going to play. All signs are that it feels unlikely at this point. I'll take a shot on a QB3 with Ryan Tannehill. And then I could either go. I do think my wide receiver depth is fine. I know I'm rolling the dice with a couple of guys who picked up injuries in the preseason with Smith and Jigba and Jerry Jeudy, but Tyreek is ready to go. Calvin Ridley's ready to go. I do think Elijah Moore, Nico Collins, and Jaden Reed is good enough to hold down the ship if Smith and Jigba needs more time as a wide receiver 3 option in the short term. So I may stay put with those 7 receivers, and I'll either grab a 6th running back or a 3rd tight end, depending on what my favorite option is when it's presented to me in 13 picks. Might be looking at this range. So maybe Evan Hall, maybe Paris Campbell if I do decide to go wide receiver. Isaiah Likely is super interesting. He's an injury away from a premier role in what should be a pretty good offense in Baltimore. And Alex, if you're still in here, let me know the rest of the team that you've put together. Did I miss and if I missed any questions, Thomas, I saw you said you were panicking. I'm not sure what it is. If you're still in here, let me know what's going on. If I missed anything or if you don't think I answered your question, let me know. Cameron, I do see your follow-up now. I do think I would lean Elijah Moore just because I do think he's his team's wide receiver too. I'm not sure if will Zay Flowers be the wide receiver 3 behind, or the option 3 behind Mark Andrews and potentially either Rashad Bateman or Odell Beckham. And who's Baltimore got week 1? The Browns have the Bengals, so they're probably going to have to throw plenty. Who does Baltimore have week 1? I'm blanking on this right now. They're home against the Texans. It's not a scary matchup by any stretch of the imagination, with 3 picks here for me to go coming up, and that will be the end of that draft. If Hunter Henry's here, I might take that 3rd tight end. I'll take either. At this point, I would take a chance on Chuba Hubbard if he falls to me here, but these next 2 teams do only have 4 running backs, so they may grab their 5th running back for depth. There goes Hunter Henry. I think that makes my decision relatively easy. I'm not crazy about Chuba Hubbard, but his ADP is 182 and I'm at pick 213. I'll take some extra running back depth. Especially considering if I'm out on Miles Sanders, then you might as well roll the dice a few times on the backup. I'll take Chuba Hubbard. I was kind of hoping Hunter Henry would fall to me there. He did not. So I'll take the guy that gives me some decent running back depth, guy that I'm not relying on necessarily to start the season. But if anything happens with Miles Sanders late in the season, he has been dealing with a groin injury throughout this offseason so far. Chuba could be that guy that, maybe he gives you an RB2 week some point late in the season. And that's all you're asking for from the last pick of an 18-round best ball. So we'll see the results of this shortly. I will fire up the board. So I guess tentatively, Cameron, I guess I'm leaning Elijah Moore slightly over Zay Flowers for at least week 1. That tune could change by Sunday. It is obviously still very early in the week. We haven't received the, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practice reports yet. That could help kind of shed some light on what is going to be the most unknown week of the season going in, because it's week 1. We have so little to go off of. Especially when it comes to Elijah Moore is on a new team and Zay Flowers is a rookie. So tentatively, I would say Moore. That tune could change later in the week. If you can make the start sit live stream or one of them on Saturday, Sunday, then great. Feel free to re-ask the question. My tune might change, but as of right now, tentatively, it could be then it could be Elijah Moore that I'm currently favoring. So let's see if I can get this whole board up. All right, that's a little better. You can see through the first 8 rounds of what this looks like. Just 2 days before the start of the season. Hopefully this acts and helps as some kind of crutch. If you haven't drafted yet, feel free to let me know. That can also be shared in Discord as well. If there's any one specific thing you're thinking about doing, we can talk through it there. Or if you have already drafted, maybe you had your draft, held it, feel free to look this over, see where things maybe went differently here versus where you drafted and why. These are supposed to ideally be helpful resources for you guys, not necessarily to lean on entirely, but just as a reference point as we move into the first week of the NFL season, which I know everybody's very excited about. This team's interesting. Went wide receiver strong to start off. So did this team. Did they get the full? They didn't get their full Bengals stack though. Joe Burrow ended up on this team, so getting Chase and Higgins there, you probably, well, you couldn't take. You had to hope that Burrow would fall to the 4 or 5 turn. You just missed out on him. Still very good wide receivers to be leaning on. And then some decent running back depth with Walker, Dalvin Cook. Well, after that is the RB3 is Deion Jackson. So I don't know that I necessarily that feels too thin, but Deion Jackson is going to have a season-long opportunity. Most likely. This one looks pretty good to me, although getting both 49ers wide receivers could be a little hit or miss week over week. And I don't know that I would have drafted. Here's the fallout in other scenarios as a result of the Travis Kelce injury. I'm fine taking Kelce still in like this range, 11, 12, or 11, 12, 13, 14, around here would be spectacular, 13, 14, 15 even. But especially if I don't have Travis Kelce, there's no way I can advise drafting Patrick Mahomes at his regular ADP late second round. If he's not going to have Travis Kelce for a few weeks, I would need Mahomes to fall like into this range, like the Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields range, for me to want to take him. He's not going to have the dude in the passing game that he leans on. He's not going to have him Thursday night. He's probably not going to have him week 2, and he might not have him at his 100% week 3. Mahomes would need to fall a little bit for me. I can't take him late second round as a result of this injury. That being said, I do like the wide receivers here. I do like the first 4 for sure. Michael Thomas is a fine roll of the dice, but it's week to week with him at this point. As far as like his literal career goes, like it's like, okay, if he survived 1 week, great. Let's see if he can survive the next week too. Little dicey, but I like Treylon Burks. I would have been happy to get him. I would have taken him had he made it to me, but he didn't. And then Sam Laporta over Dalton Kincaid. That's a hell of a pick. So there are some pieces I like here, but I give some pause to the Patrick Mahomes selection late second, given the Travis Kelce injury. Yours truly, that was spot 4. So have at it. Tell me what you think. Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley to start things off, and then I got Derrick Henry all the way down at 28. That felt pretty nice. That felt nice to get Derrick Henry at the top of the 3rd round. When you start your draft wide receiver and get a guy with his upside where you get him, feel pretty good about that. Najee Harris at 45. I would call that maybe like the most boring pick of the draft. But the numbers should be there. I still contest the numbers should be there at the end of the day for Najee. I know Jaylen Warren is a player. I know he looks good. I know that the Steelers can't take Jaylen Warren off the field. They have to mix him in. They have to make him a part of their plan week to week. What it is that they want to do on offense, Jaylen Warren needs to be involved. But Najee Harris is still this team's starter. I would think he gets first crack at goal line opportunities, short yardage opportunities, red zone opportunities. Is he boring? Yes. But can he give you rock solid, consistent RB2 numbers that keep your team afloat? Getting that in the 4th round, I'll take it. I'll take it. I get Herbert in the 5th round. I love that spot considering where some of the other quarterbacks went. Trevor Lawrence was only 7 picks later. I like Lawrence as well, but I think I like Herbert more. Gets Keenan Allen back, gets Mike Williams back, gets his left tackle Rashawn Slater back, adds Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. They consistently had one of the top offenses in the NFL with Moore calling the shots. I think the Chargers are primed for a bounce back, at least on offense this year, with Herbert leading the way. I had to sacrifice my boy Aaron Jones in the process, but having taken 2 running backs already, the previous 2 rounds, it felt good to diversify. Smith and Jigba at 69, Jerry Jeudy at 76. Injury concerns for sure. Potential red flag rolls of the dice for sure, but Smith and Jigba is practicing already. Avoided the PUP list despite the broken wrist. He might be on the fast track sooner than we expect. Jerry Jeudy, I'll admit, 76 feels like a good roll of the dice, but at the same time, it feels like a major, major risk with a guy dealing with a soft tissue injury. I'm taking a chance on a guy that was regularly being drafted 25 spots higher than this, 30 spots higher than this. I'll take a chance. Tua I grabbed because I stacked with to stack him with Tyreek Hill. I grabbed Elijah Moore, which I was fine with, but only because Treylon Burks wasn't there. Nico Collins, Dalton Kincaid, Jared McKinnon. At this point, it's just like some decent depth. So we'll see. The other guy, again, I will reiterate, if you haven't drafted yet, if you're in that if you have the 4th pick in season-long redraft leagues with at least with standard scoring or half PPR scoring, I think there is officially an argument to take Bijan Robinson 4th overall over a guy like Tyreek Hill, over a guy like Austin Eckler, and now certainly over a guy like Travis Kelce in the wake of this injury. Best ball, where you start 3 receivers, you can kind of try to rely on random running back hits with later picks a little bit more frequently in this format. I took Tyreek Hill. In season-long leagues where it almost feels a little bit better to naturally end up with an anchor running back, I think we've officially reached the point where Bijan Robinson is in that conversation. So getting him at 5th or even 6th overall feels great. So I like that pick at 5 to get him. Olave, Allen, Breece Hall, Aaron Jones. I like the start of that draft. Kittle at 68 is fine. I think it's okay. I'm not one way or another on that. I think that's a fine spot for George Kittle. He's going to have his weeks. He's going to have his tight end 1 overall weeks. He's also going to have his weeks where the 49ers just ask him to be the elite blocker that he is. And he comes away with 4 points or less. Those weeks are going to happen. You just hope that they're fewer than not. Miles Sanders, I'll be honest, I'm fading, so meh on that. I like the wide receiver depth, though, that they accumulated. From the 6th spot, Eckler, Jacobs, Andrews, Burrow. I would not have taken Joe Burrow, most likely. It's a fine spot, but, I mean, in a format where you start 3 receivers and you're leaning on, and your first 3 picks are Christian Kirk, Jordan Addison, Brandon Cooks, it could work out. I wouldn't feel great about that myself. They did draft 6 other wide receivers, though, so at least there are options. From the 7th hole, this person's doing what it feels like the new norm, just going wide receiver heavy and grabbing running backs later. Doesn't look too bad. Diggs, Waddle, Keenan Allen, Drake London, Mike Evans. That's a hell of a quintuple for wide receivers. And then everybody's favorite upside play at the tight end position, Darren Waller. I mean, got the pass catchers locked down, and then some decent zero RB targets: Akers, Pacheco, Gibson. Bigsby feels like, I mean, I get why he's enticing. There's major debates that have been raging across Twitter all offseason, Twitter/X, between Tank Bigsby or Travis Etienne. I've cooled off on Bigsby a little bit. So 114 feels like it might be a little high, but it's, it's fine as an RB4 when you hammered wide receiver early and often. Looks pretty good. I don't know that I like team 8. Again, I don't mind. I don't mind still taking Travis Kelce in the first round. This range closer to the turn feels a little bit better, though. Tony Pollard, perfectly fine with that pick. Lamar Jackson, I'm fine with that pick. But this is where it starts to get dicey. Jonathan Taylor in best ball, you're not going to have him for 4 weeks guaranteed. The downside to Taylor is it might be a longer absence than that unless we get a trade. We're hoping, we're begging, we're praying for a trade with Jonathan Taylor. If it happens, great. That's a good roll of the dice. If it doesn't happen, you're going to have a dead spot in your lineup from your 6th pick overall. That's going to hurt a little bit. And when you compound it with Marquise Brown, who in theory is a great value, 80 picks into a draft, but the vibes around the Cardinals right now are awful, terrible. He's going to have bad quarterback play for at least the first month of the season. Even if Kyler returns for a little while, he's not going to be his normal self on working his way back from the injury. That's a little scary. Plus, Jameson Williams is and Jameson Williams is going to miss the first 6 weeks of the season. I think there's too many. There's a few too many red flags in teammates build for my liking. Team 9, AJ Brown, and then Cooper Kupp. Again, I don't know that I could take Cooper Kupp in the second round at this point. He's older. He had a setback. He had a literal setback with a soft tissue injury. He's currently seeing a body specialist in Minnesota to try to get to the bottom of the crux, the core of the issue with his injury. These are dicey red flags to be messing around with. I would need Cooper Kupp to fall into the 3rd round for me to start to consider that. And I know I took Jerry Jeudy, so you might be thinking to yourself that I sound a little like hypocritical or whatever, but Jerry Jeudy is notably younger and notably cheaper. I mean, 76 picks into a draft, okay, fine, versus 16 picks into a draft with a player better on like in a vacuum for sure, better player, but older and suffered a setback. I think this is a big red flag. I really like Jahmyr Gibbs at 33, and I think Joe Mixon is perfectly fine at 40. I like the running back options there. Terry's dealing with turf toe. Terry McLaurin's dealing with turf toe. We were told it's mild. God, I hope it's mild for his sake, for everybody's sake, and that he's able to work his way through it and that it heals sooner than later. But turf toe has always been that thing that you hear of where it's like that stuff lingers. It lingers. So you hope for the best for him, but it's a little dicey to start the season. I do like Gabe Davis. I do think he's worth a selection in this range. I certainly do. Another guy, I mean, Kyle Pitts coming off that MCL injury last year. It sounds like he might be getting eased back in. I've been saying all offseason I prefer Dallas Goedert over Kyle Pitts. This is great value when you've considered that for me. Pitts is my tight end 7 for me. And honestly, if I had to put an arrow on it, it's trending down like more than it's trending up for him. Kyle Pitts ended up, I feel like, in one of the worst case situations he possibly could have from a fantasy perspective. Him landing in Atlanta is potentially a real short-term hit to his career. Terrible quarterback play last year. Didn't get utilized as a pass catcher as much as a player like him should have been last year. I feel like we're headed to something similar this year. I worry about Kyle Pitts the closer we get to the season, admittedly. I hope I'm wrong. I don't mind this quarterback depth for this guy. And then Tyler Higbee. Now, see, that's the value here. Obviously, the difference in talent is substantial, but Tyler Higbee might just get a ton of volume if Cooper Kupp is banged up. Final three teams. I think I like Team 10. Little weak at wide receiver, but Sky Moore should be fine as a wide receiver 3. There's good running back depth here. Saquon, Madison, Dobbins, Kamara. That's the strength of the team. Getting the Fields, DJ Moore stack. That should be pretty beneficial this year. I think I like Team 10. I'm not crazy about the Juju Smith-Schuster selection, but they are free to do that if they so choose. Wide receiver depth for that team is a little thin. That would be my only criticism of Team 10. Wide receiver depth a little thin. Team 11, I like that start. Chubb, Adams, Etienne, Williams, getting an upper echelon quarterback, the last clear-cut upper echelon quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. Fine with Chris Godwin. Fine with Cortland Sutton. He gets a boost with Jerry Jeudy's injury for sure. James Conner is still an affordable value, but it's a lot less enticing than it feels or than it felt like a month ago, given the concerns about Arizona and their vibes and where that offense might be going as a whole. Depth is decent here, but I don't know that I'm crazy about all of these selections. Team 12 looks pretty good. Really strong at wide receiver. Got a running back early to theoretically get a guy to lean on. One of my favorite values at the tight end spot is Dallas Goedert this year. I really think he's going to have a strong season. Really good 0 RB targets acquired. Rachaad White, AJ Dillon, Raheem Mostert. I like this team. I like Team 12. I don't know that I would have bothered with Kyler Murray, but as your QB3 in the last round, feels fine to roll that to roll the dice on that. I like Team 12. I would say Team 2 looks pretty good, even though they missed on their full Bengals stack. Team 5 looks all right, although the wide receiver depth is a little concerning. I like Team 7. I like Team 7's build. Team 10, I like it. I think Team 10's all right. The wide receiver depth is a little light, but not terrible. And 11 is fine. 12 is all right. And I think I put a decent team together, if I do say so myself, from the 4 spot. So that is this Puppy 4 entry. I am imagining at this point that the Puppy 4 is probably 50% full at this point. I'm actually kind of curious to see if I can go back and take a look. It's close. 43%. So there's still plenty of entries available if you want to jump in before the season. Just a $5 entry to play a couple best ball entries. If you are interested on Underdog Fantasy, you can find them on the homepage. These are all their tournaments. Best Ball Mania is about to fill. It's probably about 98% full at this point. Yep, 98%. So there's still some contests that you can get into before the season starts. If you are interested, this is where I play best ball. I will be paying plenty of attention to the entries that I have submitted throughout the offseason now that the season is here. That about does it for me tonight. Again, if you missed anything about Travis Kelce, thoughts on the injury fallout there, I have at the beginning of this stream. So you can just rewind to that point if you want to hear about my thoughts on Travis Kelce. Not too many other major talking points at this point. We'll, of course, be on the lookout for practice reports for the first time this year, starting tomorrow. The Wednesday practice reports are typically the first set of practice reports that we really start to pay attention to as it pertains to the week 1 slate, the upcoming slate. So we'll be on the lookout for anything developing there. And then, of course, there's the game Thursday night. I will be streaming before the game. It'll be a little pre-game, social gathering of sorts. We can talk shop about any drafts that wrapped up between now and then. Any thoughts on the season, any final predictions before the season prior to kickoff. We will be handing out 6 p.m. Eastern. And of course, I'll take any questions that come up at that time. One more time, if I could shameless plug my channel. If you do like what you see from the various videos, shorts, live streams that I put together, that I put on this channel, if you are interested in supporting me throughout the season, there are membership levels detailed in the first link of the description of this video and all of my videos. Your support would be much appreciated if you feel so inclined. And if you do, as a member, one of the perks, if you have questions, I'm way more likely to offer a little bit more attention, offer a little bit more detail, a little bit more analysis, whether it's a trade, start, sit, help, whatever scenario you may have that faces you coming into the season. I will get to everybody. If you want to continue to use this platform, because for the most part, a lot of my advice is free. I'm happy to do that, but members will get the priority in the live streams, in the Discord, and they'll get a little bit more from me in general. Speaking of the Discord, second link in the description of this video and all of my videos. If you're not a part of the Discord, it is free to join, but members will get a little added attention from me in the Discord. If you feel inclined to join, it's a way to drop questions and get maybe a little bit more real-time back and forth or group think when I'm not doing my live streams, if you feel so inclined. But otherwise, that'll do it for me tonight. Thank you guys for coming in, hanging out during the draft, asking questions. Hopefully I got to all of them. I'm pretty sure that I did. If I didn't, again, feel free to hit me up in the Discord, and I will see it. I'll see it over there. Otherwise, everybody have a great night. I will see you guys on Thursday. Football's close, baby. Let's get it.